What's going on, guys? Flex Performance, and we're back here in the shop again, working as usual. Today, we got new projects. As you can see in the back, we've got a badass Camaro right there. So that's a new project we got going on. We've been working on that thing for the past couple of months, and well, it's time to get it all put back together and actually try to get it to the races this year. There's some pretty badass races going on, and that car is definitely going to attend some of them. So I'm going to go ahead and get my butt in gear and try to get that thing done in the next couple of months so we can actually go racing with it. The customer is anxious to go racing. It's got a brand new combination, twin turbos. It's got all titanium piping. It's got a billet block, billet heads, M&M transmission. I mean, you name it. A Steve Morris racing engines billet LS, which I think it's about 430 cubic inch or something like that. Customer definitely wanted all titanium piping, and he wanted the turbos to stick out of the hood, which they do about halfway. But as you can see, it's got nice titanium exhaust on it, titanium charge pipe, all colored. So definitely this is going to be a badass ride, of course. Start running the fuel system, brake lines, shifter, seat. I mean, you name it. It's a whole bunch of parts that goes along with it that we need to get done before the car is actually ready for a fire up or anything on the dyno, or definitely get it to the racetrack. I know my dyno in the past doesn't really show numbers, and the reason is because one of the boxes started acting up. I could still use the dyno. I just didn't really know how much exact horsepower was. I can make a calculation on the computer and it gave me a more or less an estimate, and I could do everything that I needed to do on it on the computer. But obviously it's always good to have an actual horsepower number that you can see once you make a pass or 2 or 3 pulls, and definitely see what the changes are. I went ahead and called DynoJet and I ordered all the upgrade replacement on it, which is all new boxes. The only thing that we're going to use is the drum. Everything else gets replaced. So it was definitely a major order. I was holding back a little bit on it. I didn't really want to buy it right there and then because it is a lot of money, but I bit the bullet today. I called them up and I ordered all the electronics and everything needed, so I'll be able to get all that stuff connected, and then we'll be able to see some horsepower numbers on any vehicle that I put on there, which is pretty cool. Now this square body is going to be a bit different. I mean, this thing was in another shop. They were going to paint it or do something with it. I am not 100% sure, but I mean, they took it all apart and they just threw everything in the back, the motor, panels, brakes or extra brakes, and just a bunch of extra stuff. So what we're going to do is I am going to start taking this thing apart completely, take the whole front clip off, leave the bare frame in the front, and take as much wiring out as we don't need, because we actually are going to put a Coyote in it. So, yep, a Coyote in a square body, which I think would be pretty badass. Gen 1 Coyote, Holley electronics, turbo 350 transmission, floor shifter, Circle D converter, on E85, headers, exhaust out the back, basically all the good stuff that Mater has. So I'm going to have to upgrade the rear end as well, put posi unit, put gears, get a custom drive shaft, modify the cross member for the transmission, definitely modify the front to install the motor, and basically get every single thing adapted to it, make it look nice, paint all the interior, and get this thing ready and fired up. Right now it is time to start on this project and on the Camaro project. I've got about 2 months to work on this thing and try to get it ready. I'm gonna go ahead and tear into it. I gotta take the front clip off, so follow along. I've got the fenders off, the hood off, basically the whole front clip off. That way I can go ahead and actually pressure wash this thing, because it's pretty damn dirty. I'm going to soak this thing with some Purple Power, let it sit for a little bit, and then get the pressure washer out. That way we're not working with a bunch of dirt and grease and grime and all the kind of junky stuff. So beautiful Sunday, nice and sunny, and I'm gonna go ahead and get to town on this thing and clean the whole front clip, the whole front end. That way we get it ready to work on it, paint it, and well, do whatever we need to do with it. So that is that. Pressure washed all this stuff in the front. Took off all the dirt, all the grime, and basically looks a lot better. I can go ahead and grind and weld and do whatever I need to do before I throw some paint on. We gotta take these off anyway. Easier, and basically I am not fighting all this stuff right there. So in the meantime, I got to take the other side off. I already took one off before we actually make a motor and tranny together and put it in there for mock-up. So, yep, let's go ahead and do it. For now, a little bit of grinding, fabrication. Let's get to it. All right, guys, what's going on? We came over to a buddy of mine, which he's a machinist, because I'm working on the Camaro right now, as you can see. And obviously, we had this part right here, which this is the mounting bracket for this Peterson dry sump pump that we got right here. So I had to measure how much I needed to offset the pump to go ahead and make it fit and actually get the oil fittings to work and all that kind of good stuff. So I called out my buddy, and he went ahead and took all the measurements from this piece right here that you see, which this was already pre-done, that somebody had made it over there at Steve Morris. So he took up all the measurements and put them on the computer. And obviously we added some material to it so we can rotate the pump a little bit, which was I think like 3/8 of an inch. So we would rotate the pump so that we would clear the header once we put the fittings and all that kind of good stuff. So this is the piece that we had, and then as you can see on the computer, he's got it all set and done, and it's already getting ready to program it into the CNC, which is this bad boy over here. And that's our block. It's a 5x5x3, and it's going to go ahead and actually do everything that it needs to do. Go ahead and cut it all up. So it's a lot of numbers, a lot of calculations, and basically just a bunch of stuff. To show you a little bit, something like that. Whatever he's doing something. Let's see how it turns out. This is another one of his CNC machines that they got. Obviously, they got that one there. They got the little smaller one that we got that stuff on there. And then it's got this bad boy right here. This thing is ginormous. Holy crap, look at that. You can even walk in here and do a bunch of stuff in it. So this is his big machine though. He does some SpaceX CNC stuff that they need for the rockets and stuff like that. And this is one of the machines that actually gets some of that stuff done. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Wally. But just look at this, the size of this thing. I mean, it's enormous. And this is a pair of cylinder heads that he done for his race car. So they kind of turn out like that, and they ended up like this. So these are going to go on his race car. What's that right there? It's got a bunch of letters and numbers and all that.
That's a G code.
That is the language that the machine speaks. See? There you go, guys. All right, finished product. Than the previous one, so it can offset the pump. And then we went ahead and rolled it forward a couple degrees so we can actually move the pump. Took about 3.5 hours to make that piece right there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and switch gears for a little bit while I wait for the converter to show up for the square body that we're working on. I've got the transmission right here. The motor is ready. We changed the oil pump gears, timing chain sprocket, also because those two are one of the major components that, you know, they'll fail, they'll break, and then obviously you can mess up valves and pistons and all that kind of sort. So right now I'm waiting on the converter to show up. Then we can go ahead and mate the motor to the transmission. But in the meantime, we're going to switch gears and I'm going to go ahead and work on the Camaro. Try to have this car ready for a big race coming in March, for Big Jake's race. I have everything already taken off, all the turbo kit, all that kind of stuff. Everything is laid out on the table. Fuel pump, shifter, you name it. Every single thing, parachute, everything that goes with it. So in the meantime, I had an issue with the oil pump. Last night we went to my buddy over at BVI Machining, and he whipped us a brand new billet piece so we can go ahead and actually have clearance with the header, and actually the fittings not interfere with the header and anything like that. See right there? So we got that ready. We've got all the rest of the other little components, and we've got the other header ready and marked. So what I am going to do right now, I'm going to go ahead and get to work on that. That way I can install back the headers on this thing. Once I do that, well, then I can start running all my fuel lines. I have to make a bracket for the fuel pump as well. I have to order a fuel pump belt for it. Once I have that mounted, I have to order a oil pump belt because it did change. We'll basically start routing my fuel lines, my oil lines to the turbos, my drain lines, and then basically start running all the wiring and everything that actually does go with it. I have to pull the transmission out. So we got a lot of work to do on this car, like I said, and I'm going to try to have it ready, hopefully, so that the customer can actually race it in end of March, which there is a big race. And we want to debut this so that the customer can go out there and make some fast passes with it, and basically have some fun. So let's get to work. So I've got the headers, the EGT welded on the headers, the bungs, as you see, that's what I was doing. And right now I've got all the headers bolted, got the EGT prongs on it. Looking good. And I've already ran some of the fuel lines, the back line, and I've got the main feed line from here. Obviously I am still waiting on some fittings for the fuel pump. And also I'm waiting on the dry sump tank, which that is going to be mounted somewhere in this location right there. And then obviously I can run the rest of the lines that I need, also including a remote oil filter that I got to mount somewhere in this location right there. Also a fuel filter that I am waiting on, so I can go from the fuel pump to the fuel filter and then up into the rail. And then obviously it already goes back into the regulator. And then I got to return it back to the fuel tank, which is that one right there. I ordered 2 belts, one for the oil pump, one for the fuel pump. Once they were mounted, then I could take some measurements, and I ordered a belt. I've got all the rest of the stuff laid out pretty much, and once I get that stuff just finalized, a couple small lines and fittings that I need, I do have a lot of wiring to do. We've got the Pro 600, that's for the coils. That is the coils right there. That is all the wiring. We've got the ECU, 2 white bands, spark plug wires. We have an injector driver also right there. We've got the wiring. Well, just about almost all this stuff. Once I get all the lines done, like I said, then I can go ahead and start all the wiring and running everything inside the car and make this on the outside look as clean as possible with very minimal wires. But for the most part, this thing is coming along. Still gotta drop the transmission so I can put the converter on. So I gotta pull the tranny back, put the flex plate, put the converter, bolt everything back together, measure for a dry shaft, which this thing is gonna have a carbon fiber dry shaft. So I gotta get that coming as well. We'll get all the brake stuff done. Let me get back to work, and we'll see you later on. All right, guys, welcome back. And today we are going to be making some runs at HMP. That 68 from on the gas, and I was doing some maintenance on it. So finally, we had a good day. And today, Thursday, we are here at the racetrack, and we are going to do some shakedowns in it. So I'm going to be driving the 68 while Beto is going to be driving Gangbang. There is also the Cletus event coming up, and we are taking Gangbang over there, which I will be driving, and Beto is going to be driving the Cyclone. We're going to go ahead and make some shakedowns and do some suspension tuning on Gangbang, and obviously do some make some runs on the 68 just to make sure that everything's working properly. So today's the day, and I just arrived here at the racetrack. I just gotta wait for them to show up, and then we'll get the truck ready, and then we'll bring you guys some footage of the 68. So we did a first shakedown on the truck just to make sure that everything went straight, steering was good, make sure the brakes were good, and just kind of overall make sure the vehicle actually goes down the racetrack smooth without it having a vibration or having a wobble. Kind of learn the vehicle and see how it does and how it reacts, and then we'll go from there. So we made a change on the front travel limiters and then the front shocks. We made a small change on the tune-up. So we're gonna see if it actually works well and not do what that guy just did. They said it's leaking either from the rear end or something, so we're just gonna check back there. made it past 60 foot. We went maybe 120, 150 foot, and then it knocked the tire off. So we had an issue at the starting line, which was leaking oil. So the blower drive, it's got a dipstick on it. So it actually came undone and it was slinging oil out. So obviously it had a couple of drips. They just told us that it had another small leak on the driver's side rear tire. So we're probably going to take the wheel off, maybe clean it around, make sure it doesn't drip any oil, because if it does, it's going to catch it on the tire and it's going to make it spin. So that might be a problem. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a little bit of maintenance and try to see if we can make another pass. We're going to go ahead and give it another try. We found nowhere where oil is leaking anymore. A couple little spots in the CAT scan, whatever, so we got that taken care of. And took a little bit of power out, about 1.5 seconds out. I'm gonna have to go ahead and put it on the scales, because it's gonna need to. And maybe do a bar change, because I feel like the truck is a little bit too nose heavy. See what percentages, and then we can put some weight where it needs to, and then maybe do a bar adjustment to actually get the truck working like it should. I mean, it is working right now, but it's not optimum. So I do think that it needs some changes. But for the most part, I mean, it still runs great. It's doing great. 60 foot, it's fast. So we're gonna see see how it goes. Maybe we'll make it down the racetrack. Alright, so that was our third pass. Obviously it's real dewy right now. You can see on the back of the truck just how wet it is. Main deal is we're gonna have to go back,
Goes on the bottom.
put it on the scales, and then readjust the forelink, because it seems like it's really nose heavy. So obviously there I put a little bit of power down low, and just didn't really seem to like it. It should have taken it. The track is real good, but for the most part I think it just needs to be rescaled and put some weight in the back where it needs to be, so we can actually have a good percentage front to rear, and then actually we can go ahead and actually make some good passes. But at least we got some good data on it. This is the first time the truck came out. Everything actually worked great, other than a couple little small leaks, but for the most part, I mean, the truck drives good, brakes good, nothing broke, nothing's leaking bad, and we'll make some adjustments and actually come back to the racetrack and make some full hits. Just stay tuned.